Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about Halloween Kills. There are interesting Halloween sequels, and like Halloween 3 especially, but I think Halloween Kills is the first one that feels like sort of a part of a larger story and not a whole movie unto itself. I know this is like a trilogy, and this film screams that it is the second part and not in like that cool Empire Strikes Back way or whatever. It's in a way that just feels like it isn't really being the true follow up. It's, being a Halloween sequel is awkward because like none of them are as good as the original, and the whole idea of the original and the terror of it does not actually lend itself to sequels as much as like everyone who owns the rights to these things seems to think they do, but they don't. And so like you can only go so far with it. And then when you get the sequel, because the other one, the last one, Halloween 2018, did the best it could do. Maybe it's the best Halloween sequel. It's certainly, I think, up there. I think you could argue that. This is not as good as that. And it's not even the best Halloween 2 or 12 or whatever the fuck this is. I mean, let's say this is Halloween 2. It's basically taking on the same premise, the same idea. Let's take the same night right after. It's very similar to, I've been watching Bride of Frankenstein, and like the idea of like him coming out of a burn, they tried to burn him down much like Frankenstein. He comes out and emerges from that and starts a thing. And I was wondering when I was watching Bride of Frankenstein, did Bride of Frankenstein start the let's have this take place directly after the original film thing? I don't know, probably literature or something. I wouldn't be shocked because I know John Carpenter loves classic cinema, and I'm sure Howard Hawks like walked by the set once, so I'm sure he's totally into it. But basically the thing with this film, when Michael Myers comes out and he like is going on this rampage again, Halloween 2 has a lot of issues. I hate the whole like Laurie Strode is his sister thing. That is like the worst, but it at least is inventive and things like that. And I've always felt I'm too hard personally on Halloween 2, and I feel like this is the film that got me to appreciate Halloween 2 more, because Halloween 2 feels like a movie. It does feel like just like a part 2, but this feels like more of a part 2 somehow. Now, it's not awful. I did have some fun with it. I think David Gordon Green seems to actually really like this material. You can tell that. And it does some fun things with it's basically, I don't need to sum up the plot. Michael Myers goes on a thing, blah, blah. But there's certain things that kind of hurt this film because it's doing a fun Halloween movie, and it certainly is a good one, I would say. But it's not a sequel to what I saw in 2018 so much. I mean, it is, but it doesn't feel that way. Jamie Lee Curtis is in the hospital the whole time. Its whole thing about generations of women fighting trauma or terror and all that stuff is not really on display as much here. Somewhat with her granddaughter, a little bit with her daughter, but not like it was last time. It doesn't work the same. It's not about that this time. It's mainly about the town of Haddonfield coming back and trying to take down Michael Myers, being revved up by Anthony Michael Hall, who's playing Tommy Doyle. I was sort of against him playing Tommy Doyle because I wanted Brian Andrews, who played Tommy Doyle in the original, to at least get a cameo. I don't know why they didn't cast him, and it seems like anytime I've searched, no one really seems to know. I understand he's not the biggest name, but they did have the girl who played Lindsay, who's on Real Housewives or something. That's weird to me. They brought back pretty much everyone, and he's pretty high up there in my mind, Tommy Doyle. But they got Anthony Michael Hall, who I gotta say, he is not the Tommy Doyle I grew up with in the 1978 film, but the role he's playing here, he's absolutely perfect for. I was not really into him being Tommy Doyle, and then I saw this movie. I was like, all right, I mean, it's pretty fucking good. This role as this guy who's revving up the town as this kind of Fox Newsian version of Tommy Doyle. And I was like, if Tommy Doyle did become this, which is not the most unbelievable thing, sadly, I think Anthony Michael Hall fucking nailed it, and I didn't want him in the role at all, and he proved it to me. But everything about the Haddonfield stuff is an interesting way to take a Halloween film, 100%. I really like the idea of it. But it doesn't really work as well. Halloween films are intimate and scary, and I think when you take that out of it, it feels lesser. It feels like the sensation isn't there as much. It feels like the intensity isn't there. I feel like there are certain parts with the kills in that. There's like one where a knife goes through someone's head and I was like, oh my god. Like there's a couple that like really stuck out to me in their savagery, which I actually liked. It's not that I'm like super weird about gore or anything. It's just like the way they displayed it was so shocking. They had some other cool, I think one of the other cool bits is they had Michael Myers' home had been renovated. Oh, I really like that by like this gay couple, Big John and Little John. That was amazing. Like that someone bought that house, renovated it. Like Haddonfield got gentrified or something. I love that. That was amazing. I was so happy about that. That someone took that house that was probably like a fixer-upper. That's what would happen. I think that's wonderful. Everything with the panic of Haddonfield and stuff, at times it did feel very reminiscent of what Carpenter would probably do nowadays with something like that. It hits a little different because they don't seem to have a real perspective on mob mentality. In part of the movie, it's like mob mentality and mobs are bad, and in other parts, like, but they can be good sometimes if we use them right. This is made before the Capitol riots, but like seeing a bunch of people like go after things that like they were wrong a couple times, and you're like, it feels like it highlights something in particular. And I don't know if that necessarily worked fully. I think there's certain elements of it, but it kind of felt like what I think Halloween sequels have this problem with, and maybe why there shouldn't be 12 of these fucking movies, is like you're always trying to do something that's not what this is. I think I respect and understand as a viewer 2 or 3 or even 4 or even H2O or whatever, because they have a certain perspective and they have a reason for doing this different thing. And this one, it felt like it did it like to explain more of the characters of Haddonfield. I don't really care about the other town. I care about Laurie Strode. I care about Dr. Loomis. I care about Michael Myers, and I care about Laurie Strode's family, who are just like people who get stabbed, but whatever. If you're gonna bring back like PJ Souls or something, I'll care about that. But like everybody in the town, like I don't, you don't need to make a PowerPoint presentation about, how Haddonfield, Illinois happened and what it's been like since economically and all that. I really don't care. It's really not something that is that interesting and is presented in a way. And I think like if Carpenter were to have actually directed it, he would have done something more like The Fog, which is about the sins of a town and could have been a little more interesting. I think he probably would have looked more inward had he been doing something about like mob mentality or something. I think it would have worked better. Also, he has done films without like a true protagonist, which this film sort of doesn't have. And also like having Laurie Strode in your Halloween film not doing much. I mean, that was a problem with like Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2. I guess this is like the third Halloween 2 at this point. That is a poor choice, I think. Like, if you're gonna waste Jamie Lee Curtis, like, I get that, like, I guess in the next one, Halloween Ends, you'll finally have her kill Michael Myers predictably. It was fun enough, but this just felt like a continuation that's linking to another thing. And in our era of franchises and everything like that, I get that these films sort of just happen because there's gonna be another one, and I'm sure this film didn't cost like anything, most likely. So it's like, it's fine, you can just do one of these, and like it's reasonably, like if I'm watching Halloween 2018 and I was in the mood to watch this, maybe I would, and you'll be like, okay, I guess. Like, I wasn't really that upset by the ending because it's like, of course he's gonna kill everybody, but like I don't care about any of these people. Like, I care about like Laurie Strode and her family. There were a few kills that shocked me, a few interesting ideas in this film, but like it feels like if you skip this film and just went to Halloween Ends, you'd be probably okay, because they'll probably sum up some shit at the beginning, or someone would be like, what happened? And like, that person, that thing and that. You're like, all right, cool. Like, you don't need to see this movie. And that to me is like the special feeling of the 2018 Halloween, which should have a better name, but whatever. That was like, oh my god, they're following up Halloween. Like, this is a more interesting idea for a sequel. I'm sort of into this. And this one doesn't have that immediacy to me. And it's not because I watched it on home or watched it on Peacock, which, by the way, Peacock, not only did you get me to sign up for a subscription, you also had it sponsored by State Farm. That's some king shit right there. Applause to Peacock for getting like as much as they could. But, you know, it's a pandemic still, so it's fine, guys. But I feel like the last one got the idea of what Carpenter was trying to do. And I feel like this was maybe also sort of trying to do other Carpenter things, be sort of like how Carpenter writes, but doesn't really fully know how to do that, and it just doesn't feel as special and as immediate. And with certain things like, oh, that's Lindsay, oh, we've got Tommy Doyle back, oh, I guess that's what he would be like, oh, you know, this guy, and it's like, how many of these people do we fucking need to see? Like, I think, you know, unless you're bringing PJ Souls back or something, I just, hey, Rock and Roll High School rules, whatever, or any of the original girls and they're going to be zombies or something like that. There's like nothing you can do at this point. It's a franchise that the first one made sense. This one, I don't really understand the point of it, because I don't think it made a good point. It didn't know what it was doing with this mob mentality stuff. It didn't really know what it was doing about what it said to Haddonfield. And I'm sorry, like 3 or 4 teenagers got stabbed in a town in 1978. Nobody gives a shit by 2018 or 20, you know, by, I guess this still is 2018. The Michael Myers thing was definitely a story and people would be scared by it. But like the degree in which, like, if it would have been like all these films counted like a Friday the 13th type franchise, I would get it. But like 4 people and then like 4 more people, and like it just like it felt a little extreme, and it sort of didn't fully connect. So I do feel like, much like I felt how No Time to Die, it's like it's a decent enough, well, I think I like this less than No Time to Die, but it's a decent sort of continuation. But it did at the end, I think I just questioned the point of this, and I think like a lot of Halloween sequels, it's sort of just treading water to keep the franchise going, and I don't think that makes me feel really great about them making another one of these. But I'm hoping with the next one we get Laurie Strode coming after Michael Myers again, and that is something I think I will always be interested in. But unfortunately, like that, this movie didn't like have that, so I think it just sort of killed any enthusiasm or any excitement you could even have for something like this without having the point of having these people back together again. Almost felt like a B plot of a movie, which is honestly not done in an interesting enough a way for me to really care. I sort of get why people find it an interesting, different kind of sequel, but it just, I don't think was successful at all in convincing me it was anything but a continuation that I'm just waiting to see how it concludes in something later, and not seeing how it continues in this. So if you've seen Halloween Kills and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.